Most of us live lives of quiet desperation. Those were the words Henry David Thoreau wrote more than 150 years ago, and they still feel painfully true today. These colors, before they find their place, exist in chaos, just like our minds in modern society. We stay busy, yet somehow empty. So today, come with me. Let's look for a way out. Not an escape from the world, but a way inward. Thoreau left the comfort of the city to live alone in a small cabin by Walden Pond. He wasn't searching for poverty. He was searching for the richness of the soul. Watch as the mist begins to form. Many people fear the fog because it hides what lies ahead. But here, this mist becomes a sanctuary. It softens the sharp edges of the world. It shields you from judgment, from endless news, from the pressure to constantly be someone. Look at how the colors begin to blend. Yellow into teal, light into shadow. Thoreau once wrote, "Morning is when I am awake, and there is a dawn in me." Painting this sky is an act of awakening. We are not simply filling the canvas. We are creating a space where the sun could rise, but hasn't yet. A moment of infinite potential. Notice the movement of the brush, back and forth, soft, repetitive. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. As these colors merge, we practice that simplicity. We smooth out the complications. We refuse to let chaos take control. Not yet. As the horizon blurs between sky and water, time itself begins to dissolve. Thoreau said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately." To live deliberately sometimes means letting go of what is unnecessary. Keep only the light. Keep only your breath. This stillness is the beginning of freedom. When the outside world fades, the inner world begins to reveal itself. See those distant trees? They stand as silent witnesses. They do not try to speak. They do not try to convince. They simply are. They remind us that nature moves without our permission and without our anxiety. Now, watch the reflection. We often look at water hoping to see our own face, but the water of Walden was something else. It was deep. It was still. It was honest. As I pull the brush downward, I am connecting the sky to the earth, the ideal to the real. It takes courage to look into a mirror like this. In daily life, we keep ourselves busy, constantly distracted, because silence makes us nervous. We fear what might surface when nothing is making noise. We call it boredom. But Thoreau understood something deeper. Boredom is only the threshold of insight. If you stay, if you don't run, peace begins to appear. And now, the lake fully emerges. Thoreau called it Earth's Eye. Why do we long for water this still? Because only when the surface is calm does it dare to reflect the sky. And only when your mind slows down can you begin to see the depth of your own nature. This reflection reminds us of something important. The chaos we see outside is often just a mirror of the storm within. If you wish to see clearly, you must first still the waves. But peace does not mean weakness. Look at this pine tree rising from the mist. Dark, stoic, unapologetic. It is the image of a soul that has finally found its footing. Notice the details, the rough bark, the dry branches reaching outward. Why do we paint the imperfections? Because a life truly lived always leaves marks. This tree stands alone, separate from the forest behind it. Is it lonely? Perhaps. But there is a profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the ache of being alone. Solitude is the dignity of standing on your own. In modern life, we are terrified of silence, so we fill it with noise, with notifications, with connections that barely touch the surface. But to Thoreau, solitude was not an absence. It was a companion. He once wrote, "I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude." As we begin adding the leaves, pause for a moment. This tree does not compare itself to the trees across the lake. It does not ask if it is tall enough or green enough. It does not perform. It simply exists, fully, honestly. Can we learn to stand like this, rooted in our own truth, unmoved by the shifting winds of opinion? Standing alone, like this tree, does not mean you are lost. It means you are rooted. You are reaching for your own light, no matter how thick the fog around you becomes. The quiet power of this painting lives in its contrast. The world may remain vague, uncertain, but the self, when truly known, is sharp, still, and unmistakably clear. As the birds take flight, let your thoughts be released from their invisible cages. In time, Thoreau left Walden, not because he was finished with it, but because, as he said, he had other lives to live. You do not need a wooden cabin in the forest to find your Walden. It is already here. In the moment you choose to turn down the noise, to breathe deeply, and to live fully within yourself. Carry this lake with you. Let it remind you how to be still, how to be clear. Live deliberately.